Hello and welcome to English Spark Official. I'm Zayden, joined as always by Alara.
Hey everyone! We're so excited about today's topic.
If you take like a really high fidelity microphone and you record a native English speaker saying a super simple phrase like, I want an apple.
Right, just a basic daily phrase.
Exactly. And then you take that recording and you look at the acoustic waveform on a computer screen, you will not actually see four distinct words.
No, you won't.
You will not see clear breaks at all. What you actually see is one continuous, unbroken block of sound. Your brain literally hallucinates the spaces between the words.
It totally does. It's wild.
It is wild. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are exploring this kind of invisible architecture of spoken English.
Yeah, we're getting into the real mechanics of it.
Right. We're looking at why you can study a language for years, memorize all the vocabulary, completely conquer the grammar, and yet
the moment you actually step up to a barista in a busy coffee shop, you just freeze.
Yes.
Yes.
You freeze. Or if you do manage to speak, the words come out feeling really mechanical,
Yeah.
robotic. And it's strangely exhausting to produce.
That sensation of feeling robotic, by the way, it isn't just in your head.
Wait, really? It's physical?
Oh, absolutely. It is a physical reality of how you are manipulating your vocal tract. Because when we learn a language through textbooks or flashcards, we are trained to view language visually.
Right, like we literally see the spaces on the page.
Exactly. We see spaces. And historically, that's a relatively new invention. Like the ancient Romans and Greeks, they wrote in something called scriptio continua.
Which is, wait, what is that?
It basically means text completely without spaces, just a solid block of letters.
Oh, wow. That sounds impossible to read.
Well, they relied on reading it aloud to actually parse the meaning. But modern language learners were totally visually conditioned to believe that those spaces on the page must also exist in the audio.
Ah, I see. So you try to insert this microscopic silence between every single word you speak.
Yeah, and doing so actually works completely against the natural aerodynamics of human speech.
Okay, so that visual conditioning totally explains why that coffee shop scenario is just so universally frustrating.
It really does.
Because you have all the correct data stored in your memory.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
But your output mechanism is mimicking a page of text rather than an actual stream of air.
Right, you're reading a book with your mouth instead of just speaking.
Exactly. So our mission today for this deep dive is to fix that disconnect. We are going to uncover the mechanics of how English speakers naturally merge their words together.
A process linguists actually call coarticulation.
Coarticulation, right. But crucially, for you listening right now, we are going to explore this using only foundational A2 level vocabulary.
Yes, keeping it super simple.
We're stripping away all the complex jargon. Because the goal today isn't to, learn new definitions or memorize big words.
No, the goal is to fundamentally retrain how you physically move your mouth and how you process acoustic signals.
Exactly. And we're even going to do some interactive speaking practice together right here. So to start, let's really demystify this idea of coarticulation.
Let's do it. To understand it, I think it really helps to look at the physical anatomy of speech.
Okay, lay it on me.
So when you force a pause between every single word, like saying, I want an apple, you are performing what linguists call a glottal stop.
A glottal stop.
Okay, right. Basically, your vocal folds, which sit inside your larynx, they have to snap completely shut to cut off the airflow, and then they have to burst open again for the very next word.
Oh, so you're constantly stopping and starting the air.
Exactly. And doing this repeatedly requires just a tremendous amount of muscular effort.
I mean, that makes sense. It's like driving a car, right?
What do you mean?
Like stopping and starting a car every 10 feet burns significantly more gas than just coasting smoothly on a highway.
That is a perfect analogy, yes. The human body is incredibly efficient, and your vocal cords, they naturally want to coast.
They want the highway.
They want the highway. So native speakers, they merge consonants and vowels, not because they're just trying to spook really quickly, but because they're actually conserving biological energy.
Okay, I love that. We often use the analogy of building blocks to describe language learning. In the beginning, words feel like these rigid plastic Lego blocks.
Right, you have your vocabulary blocks.
Yeah, and you click them together with these hard, distinct edges. But if we think about the aerodynamics of speech that you just described,
Yeah.
creating a fluid sentence is less like clicking plastic blocks together and more like, drafting in a slipstream.
The slipstream, yes,
Yeah.
that's a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Because in aerodynamics, objects moving close together reduce drag.
Right.
Well, in phonetics, sounds moving close together reduce muscular drag.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, so coarticulation is literally just the process where the physical articulation of one sound kind of anticipates and then blends right into the articulation of the next sound.
So the edges of your words just sort of melt.
They literally melt. The final consonant of one word basically becomes the launching pad for the initial vowel of the next word.
Okay, let's go back to our example. Instead of the rigid sequence of I want an apple, the T at the end of want slides directly into the A of an.
Exactly, creating the syllable tan.
Right. And then the N of an slides into the A of apple, creating napple.
Yep. So the slipstream effect transforms the whole phrase into I want an apple.
I want an apple. Wow. It practically looked like a totally different language when you map it out phonetically like that.
It really does. And the thing is, the brain of a native listener is specifically calibrated to decode that melted slipstream version.
Oh, so you don't do it, it throws them off.
Exactly. When you speak in those rigid Lego blocks, you actually force the native listener's brain to work a lot harder to piece your meaning together.
Which probably creates, like, conversational friction.
Tons of friction. It feels clunky. Now, if we break this down mechanically, this kind of connected speech generally falls into a few specific categories.
Okay, let's hear them. But remember, keep it simple for us.
Always. So first, there is catenation, which is just the direct linking of a consonant to a vowel, like our apple example.
Right, consonant to vowel, got it.
Then there is assimilation, where two sounds blend together to create an entirely new sound, like did you becoming did you.
Oh yeah, deju. I do that all the time without thinking.
We all do. Then there is elision, where a sound is just dropped completely, like next door becoming next door, we just lose the T.
Next door. Yeah, the T is totally gone.
And finally, intrusion, where a phantom sound is actually added to bridge two vowels, like go out becoming go out.
Go out. There's a little W in there. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, today, for you listening, we are going to focus heavily on that first one, catenation, that direct linking of a consonant to a vowel.
Yeah, because it honestly offers the fastest path out of that robotic, rigid feeling.
Exactly. So it is time to put this into practice. Let's move to our first interactive speaking segment. I want you, the listener, to actively participate here.
Yes, please do.
Seriously, if you are somewhere private, speak at full volume. If you are on a train or in public, just whisper it. But you must physically move the muscles of your mouth to build this neurological pathway.
Okay, let's use a very simple everyday scenario. Imagine you find a huge spider in your house.
Horrifying.
Right, and you trap it under a cup. You want your friend to take the cup outside. The phrase relies on three very, very simple words.
Get it out.
Exactly.
Now, the robotic, visually driven pronunciation would be get it out.
Three distinct glottal stops. Your vocal folds snap shut 3 times.
Which is exhausting.
Totally. Now let's look at the slipstream version. The T in get needs to melt into the I in it.
Right.
And the T in it needs to melt into the O in out. But something fascinating happens to that P sound when it gets trapped between two vowels, doesn't it?
It does. The T undergoes a transformation that we call an alveolar tap. A lot of people just call it a flap T.
A flap T. Okay, how does that work? Well, when you say a hard T, the tip of your tongue presses really firmly against the alveolar ridge. That's the bumpy area right behind your top teeth.
Oh, yeah, I can feel it.
Right. It builds up air pressure there before releasing it. But when a T is sandwiched between two vowels in fluid speech, your tongue just doesn't have time to build up that pressure.
It's moving too fast.
Exactly. So instead, it simply flicks lightly against the ridge as it passes by.
Oh, so it sounds much closer to a soft D than a hard T.
Precisely. Your vocal cords actually vibrate continuously through the entire phrase. The tongue is just tapping the roof of the mouth to give the airstream a little shape.
Okay, so get it out transforms entirely. The continuous stream of sound becomes get it out.
Get it out.
Notice how the vocal cords never stop vibrating. The air never stops flowing. Listen carefully to the melody of it. Get it out.
It's almost like a little song.
It really is. Okay, now it is your turn, listener. Try to make it one single, smooth, unbroken sound. Repeat after me right now. Get it out.
Just give it a try. Let the air flow.
Okay, let's do it again. Really feel your tongue just lightly tapping the roof of your mouth. Keep the air flowing constantly. Repeat after me again. Get it out.
Awesome. That physical sensation you just felt, that complete lack of stoppage in your throat, that is coarticulation in action.
It completely changes the texture of the language, doesn't
And
it?
it changes everything. When you master that physical movement, you begin to experience language not as a series of data points, but as an actual physical rhythm.
Okay, so this actually brings up a critical question about how we should structure our language learning. We are deliberately using A2 level vocabulary here. Words like get, it, and out.
Super basic stuff.
Right. But a common piece of advice in language learning is full immersion, right? The deep end theory.
Ah, yes. The deep end.
The theory suggests we should just throw learners in, have them watch complex, fast-paced political dramas or listen to like really dense academic lectures to force their brains to adapt to native speed.
Yeah, that's incredibly common advice.
So, if our goal is to understand fast, messy, connected speech, why are we restricting ourselves to simple beginner words? Why not use the complex stuff?
That is a great question. And the truth is, the deep end theory fundamentally misinterprets how the human brain actually processes novel information.
Really? How so?
Well, the mechanism at play here is called cognitive load theory. It was developed by an educational psychologist named John Sweller. And this theory posits that our working memory, which is the mental workspace where we actively process new information, it has a strict hard limit.
So it can only handle so much at once.
Exactly. It can only juggle a very small number of novel elements simultaneously.
It's essentially the RAM in a computer, right?
Yes. Perfect analogy.
Like if you have too many heavy applications open at the same time, the whole system just freezes up.
That maps perfectly to what we call the phonological loop in our working memory, because when you listen to a native speaker, your brain is actually performing multiple simultaneous tasks.
Like what?
Well, it is deciphering the acoustic signal, it's retrieving definitions from your long-term memory, it's analyzing the grammar, and it's trying to deduce the overall context of the conversation.
That's a lot of tabs open in the browser.
It's a ton. So if you are listening to a complex political drama, the vocabulary is really advanced. Your working memory, your RAM spends 95% of its capacity just trying to translate words like filibuster or bipartisan.
And because 95% of the processing power is tied up in just translating the big words, there is literally zero processing power left to notice the subtle alveolar tap we just talked about.
Exactly.
Or to notice the way the consonants are melting into the vowels.
Yeah.
The brain simply drops the phonetic data because it is overloaded.
It drops it completely. And worse, that cognitive overload actually triggers a biological stress response.
Oh, wow. A physical stress response.
Yeah. When your brain realizes it cannot process the incoming data fast enough, the amygdala activates. Your frustration spikes. In linguistics, we refer to this as having a high affective filter.
Affective filter.
Right. And when that affective filter is high, cortisol floods your system and it actively blocks language acquisition. You aren't actually learning through immersion. You are just experiencing auditory trauma.
Auditory trauma. That is so intense, but it makes perfect sense. So by anchoring our practice today in A2 vocabulary, we are intentionally manipulating our cognitive load.
Exactly what we're doing.
Because you, the listener, you already have words like get, it, out, want, and apple permanently stored in your long-term memory.
Right. Retrieving them requires zero RAM.
Which frees up 100% of your working memory to focus exclusively on the acoustic physics, the mechanics of the slipstream. You get to isolate the exact specific variable you want to master.
Yes. And once that physical act of merging becomes automatic, once that slipstream is just your default mode of speech, it moves into your long-term memory.
So you don't even think about it anymore.
Exactly. It no longer requires working memory to execute. And then, and only then, can you start introducing B2 or C1 vocabulary into the mix, because the phonetic merging is just running smoothly in the background without draining your mental resources.
That is such a relief to hear, honestly. And I think that neurological limit on processing power also explains another really common trap for language learners.
Which one is that?
Auditory fatigue from long monologues. Like if you try to learn by listening to a single voice reading a dense, unbroken text for 20 minutes straight, your attention just inevitably decays.
Oh, inevitably. The brain is an extraordinarily sophisticated prediction machine, right?
Yeah.
And it evolved to pay attention to dynamic, changing environment.
Right, like scanning for threats or new information.
Yes. So continuous, uninterrupted monologues lack the acoustic variability needed to actually hold the brain's focus.
This gets boring to the brain.
Basically. It's related to a phenomenon we often discuss alongside the cocktail party effect. Our auditory system prioritizes signals that involve interaction, sudden shifts, or personal relevance. So when you listen to a monotone monologue, the brain predicts the steady rhythm and essentially just turns down the volume on its own attention span to save energy.
Wow, it just tunes it out. Which is exactly why learning the mechanics of English requires a conversational structure. It isn't just about linking vowels and consonants, it is about mastering the rhythm of human interaction.
Absolutely.
And let's be real, that rhythm is far messier than anything taught in a textbook.
Well, way messier. If you look at standard ESL textbooks, dialogue is presented as this perfectly symmetrical exchange.
Right. Person A speaks a complete grammatical sentence.
Silence falls.
Person B formulates a complete grammatical response and speaks.
It resembles a really slow, deliberate game of ping-pong.
But authentic human conversation is not ping-pong at all. It is a chaotic, cooperative overlap. While one person is holding the floor, the other person is constantly feeding data back into the stream.
Linguists call this backchanneling.
Backchanneling?
Yeah, it is the constant stream of minor vocalizations, the ahas, the yes, the wows, and the rights.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
These aren't interruptions in the negative sense. They are crucial social signals that demonstrate active engagement. In many English-speaking cultures, actually, if you sit in complete silence while someone else is speaking, just waiting patiently for your turn, the speaker will assume you have stopped listening or that the phone connection has dropped.
Or they assume you are upset with them.
Yeah.
The silence becomes totally oppressive. Like, if I am telling you a story about my weekend,
I'm with you to signal that I'm with you, yeah.
See, exactly that. What just happened right there is a perfect meta-illustration of cooperative overlap.
We did that pretty naturally.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
I was mid-sentence, you recognized where my thought was going, and you inserted a supporting phrase right over my vocalization. We merged our sentences in real time.
And that's what natural speech is.
Yes. And if you only practice the textbook ping-pong method, you will freeze the first time a native speaker backchannels over your sentence. You will literally stop talking, assuming they are trying to steal the floor, when in reality, they are just cheering you on.
That is so true. Mastering coarticulation isn't just for primary vocabulary. It is absolutely vital for these back-channeling reactions.
Why is it so vital for reactions specifically?
Because a reaction must be fast and fluid to fit into those microscopic gaps in a conversation. If you articulate a reaction rigidly, it completely changes the emotional tone.
Okay, let's test this with our second interactive speaking practice. Listener, get ready. We are going to focus on those vital split-second reactions.
Let's set the scene.
Imagine this scenario. Your friend calls you, absolutely thrilled, and announces they finally got the job promotion they've been chasing for months.
Exciting news.
Right. And you want to convey instant, genuine enthusiasm. The standard textbook phrase is, "That is amazing."
Okay, try saying "that is amazing" with distinct glottal stops between each word.
Right. It completely strips the phrase of all its musicality. The rigid pacing makes it sound sarcastic or condescending or just entirely robotic, like you don't actually care at all. So to convey genuine emotion, we have to melt the blocks. First, obviously, the pronoun and the verb contract. That is becomes that's.
Yep, standard contraction.
Now we have that's amazing, but we still have a barrier between the S and the A. We need to pull those together into the slipstream.
We do. And when the S sound at the end of that's links to the vowel A in amazing, it undergoes a really cool process called voicing assimilation.
Voicing assimilation. Tell us about that.
Well, your vocal cords are vibrating heavily for the vowel A, right? A. Now, the S sound normally doesn't use vocal cord vibration. It's just air hissing through the teeth. Sus! Yeah, no vibration there.
But because it gets pulled into the slipstream of that heavily vibrating vowel, the S actually softens into a Z sound.
Oh. So the transition isn't a sharp hiss. It is a smooth buzz.
Exactly.
It becomes, "That's amazing." The entire phrase is delivered on one single breath of air. Listen closely to the buzz right in the middle. That's amazing. It happens in just a fraction of a second, but that voicing assimilation from the S to the Z is the true auditory signature of native fluency.
Okay, let's build that muscle memory right now. Okay. Listener, I will feed you this scenario, and I want you to react out loud with the fully merged phrase. Don't be shy.
Just let the Z buzz.
Your friend says, "I finally got the promotion." Repeat after me. "That's amazing."
Try to get that buzz in there.
Let's do it once more, really focusing on the vibration of that Z sound, linking the words together. "That's amazing."
Perfect. Excellent. Now, let's explore a reaction that requires a completely different type of acoustic bridge. The effective tone for this next one is empathy.
Empathy. Okay, here's the scenario. Your friend calls you, clearly upset, and says they lost their only set of car keys.
Oh, the worst.
Truly. And you want to express immediate sympathy. The rigid textbook phrase would be, "Oh no, I am sorry."
So clunky, we immediately contrast I am to I'm, obviously.
Right, so now we have, "Oh, no, I'm sorry."
But the challenge here is linking the end of the word no to the beginning of the word I'm. You have two vowel sounds completely back to back, the O and the I.
Okay, listener, this is where that fourth category of connected speech comes into play. Intrusion. I want you to try merging no and I'm yourself for just a second. Pay attention to what your lips physically do when you transition between those two vowels. Give it a try.
Just notice the shape your mouth makes.
Did you feel it? To move your lips from the rounded shape of the O in no to the more relaxed shape of the I in I'm, your mouth naturally creates a phantom consonant.
It does. An invisible W sound intrudes just to bridge the gap.
You don't say no I'm, you say no I'm. The W acts as this physiological ramp between the vocal postures.
That's a great way to put it, a ramp.
So the entire reaction becomes one single fluid exhalation. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The lips guide the air seamlessly. Try it out loud right now. Repeat after me. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Really let that W glide.
Those phantom sounds, those minute voicing shifts, they are the true glue of human interaction.
They really are. They carry so much emotional weight.
They do. And understanding these mechanics provides this profound blueprint for how you should actually structure your own daily self-study. We spent a lot of time analyzing the physics and the psychology of speech today, but
theory is kind of useless without a practical framework for application.
Exactly. If you want to integrate this level of fluency, your daily, say, 20 to 25-minute practice session needs a very specific architecture.
And that architecture relies heavily on managing that affective filter we discussed earlier.
Keeping the stress down.
Keeping it way down. Your session must begin with a clear psychological hook. A reminder of why you were doing this in the first place.
Right. It could be visualizing that moment in the coffee shop where you speak effortlessly, or maybe you're preparing for a specific conversation with a colleague.
Exactly. This primes the dopamine system and prepares your brain to actually encode new information.
Okay, so once your brain is primed, you move into the core explanation, which is exactly what we did today. You take one single mechanical concept, like the alveolar tap or the intrusive W, and you isolate it.
Just one thing at a time.
But the key is to immediately anchor that concept in a daily life example.
Anchoring is so vital for episodic memory. The brain is ruthlessly efficient. It discards information it deems irrelevant to survival or just daily function.
It dumps the useless stuff.
Totally. So if you practice coarticulation using abstract philosophical sentences, the brain struggles to retain the physical memory of how to say it.
Because it knows you're never going to use it.
Right. But if you practice it using phrases you will actually need, like ordering coffee, asking for directions, expressing sympathy, you signal to your brain that this acoustic pattern has extremely high utility.
This leads to, honestly, the most critical rule for your daily study routine. We call the blended approach. You must never explicitly label your practice sessions.
Never.
Do not sit down and say, okay, now it is time for my 15-minute grammar and phonetics drill.
Please don't do that. Labeling learning like that triggers academic trauma.
Academic trauma, that sounds intense.
Well, most adults carry subtle psychological baggage from traditional schooling, right? The anxiety of being tested, the fear of making a mistake, the rigid hierarchy of a classroom.
Well, for sure. Just the word drill makes my shoulders tense up.
Exactly. When you frame your study as a formal drill, your cortisol levels rise. Stephen Krashen's theory of second language acquisition heavily emphasizes that the best learning happens implicitly.
Implicitly. Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning it happens when the learner is focused on the meaning of the message, not the form.
Oh. You bypass the textbook anxiety entirely. You engage with the language organically.
Yes.
You practice the mechanics of the slipstream while imagining yourself, complaining about the weather or celebrating a promotion. The brain stays relaxed, the vocal folds stay relaxed, and the neurological pathways just form without any resistance.
Because you aren't stressing about getting an A on a test.
You are learning highly advanced phonetic physics, but it just feels like you are hanging out and chatting.
It is the ultimate respect for your own cognitive machinery. You provide your brain with the precise acoustic data it needs without triggering the stress responses that block the actual acquisition.
That is so powerful. Okay, let's pull all of these threads together as we wrap up our deep dive today.
Let's do a quick recap.
The core realization today is that native English is not a series of distinct, rigid Lego blocks. The spaces between words are a visual hallucination born from text.
They don't exist in the air.
They don't. Spoken English is an aerodynamic slipstream. We learned that to prevent vocal fatigue and to sound natural, consonants and vowels must melt together through things like catenation, assimilation, and intrusion.
We also uncovered the cognitive reality behind the immersion myth.
Right, the deep end.
Throwing yourself into dense, complex B2 or C1 vocabulary while also trying to learn phonetic mechanics overloads your working memory. It crashes your brain's processing power.
It's too much RAM.
Too much RAM. By anchoring your practice in simple A2 vocabulary, you free up your mental space to focus entirely on the physical rhythm of the language.
And finally, we explored the messy, cooperative reality of actual human conversation. Genuine fluency isn't a slow game of ping-pong. It is the art of backchanneling and reacting fluidly.
Using that voicing assimilation to ensure your emotional tone translates perfectly.
Like the Z's and thoughts amazing. To build these skills, you need daily, blended practice that relies on real-world examples and completely avoids the anxiety of formal drills. Which brings us naturally to your physical homework for today.
Yes. Building a new neurological pathway requires repetition, but in a totally low-stakes environment. Your assignment is to take 3 everyday objects you interact with constantly and practice their melted, coarticulated forms until the muscle memory feels completely natural.
Okay, let's give them some examples. Let's take the classic cup of coffee. Instead of the 3 hard glottal stops cup of coffee, we're going to pull them into the slipstream.
Let's melt them.
The P in cup links to the O in of. The F in of links to the C in coffee. And in rapid natural speech, the vowel in of actually reduces to a neutral schwa sound.
Just a little sound.
Right, so the entire phrase becomes one single continuous vibration. Cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Notice how little effort it takes to produce that. Cup of coffee.
It's so smooth. Now find 2 more phrases in your own environment. For example, a bottle of water becomes bottle of water, utilizing that alveolar tap on the double T that we talked about earlier.
Drink water.
Or a pair of shoes becomes pair of shoes.
Pair of shoes. It just glides.
So, listener, walk around your space today and just mutter these merged phrases to yourself.
Yeah.
Your tongue and your lips, they might feel a little clumsy at first.
Oh, they definitely will. Like trying to write with your non-dominant hand.
Exactly. But that clumsiness is the literal feeling of new neurons connecting. Embrace it. Every single merged sound is dismantling that rigid textbook programming and bringing you one step closer to the effortless, efficient rhythm of natural speech.
Just keep coasting in that slipstream.
Keep coasting. But before we leave you today, I want you to consider this final thought. The next time you sit down to watch an English movie, or you find yourself listening to a native speaker talking on the train, run a small experiment.
A little field research.
Exactly. Stop trying to translate the vocabulary. Stop analyzing the grammar. Just close your eyes and listen exclusively to the spaces between the words. Listen for the silence. Because if you listen closely enough, you will realize the silence isn't even there.